Bonnibel Bonnie Bubblegum, Princess of the Candy Kingdom, incarnation of the candy elemental, chaotic bisexual, and fascist. Why are the pink bisexuals so toxic? When I started watching Adventure Time, I knew that there was some conversation around Princess Bubblegum due to her relationship with Finn, relationship with Marceline, and criticism of her being a fascist to the people of the Candy Kingdom. Now, I have learned from following Steven Universe and She-Ra, and that is, y'all are intense. And it has been interesting to see the strands of pulp culture feminism that I saw come out of Disney Tumblr criticism go to different places. And I'll be totally honest, there are things that I totally disagree with folks on, and some things I think are really interesting and I do agree on. But overall, I don't want the smoke because y'all will come for my neck and I don't need that. It's too much pressure. At the same time, what I feel often happens is that a show with a gray character, especially a female or femme-coded character, with any sort of gray or unclear or purposely vague moral compass will happen. And rather than explore the gray, it will become very easy to flatten things into a much less compelling version, especially since with children's media, there's a balance of treating it seriously because it is media made by adults for children, while understanding the audience is still children. In the case of one Princess Bubblegum, I have often been confused by people saying she's a fascist. I mentioned this on TikTok, and the responses that I saw in the comments are that the amount of surveillance she has on the Candy Kingdom, rattle balls, making unintelligent candy people. For me, Princess Bubblegum is a morally great character who is an enlightened despot, and part of her character journey is learning to not be so in control all the time. She is someone who was very lonely for a very long time and made a family to be less lonely, and they immediately tried to take over and subjugate her. So she made more family and created loyal, simple-minded subjects, which is dark. It's a very Frankenstein-style story with PB as Victor Frankenstein. And I think that's really cool to have a female character who is that dark and has that kind of complicated story in a dystopian made for children, because by making the candy people so incompetent, she's always creating more work for herself, but is also keeping herself from forming other emotional connections out of a fear of being hurt. So what we are seeing is her actions being born from an emotional desire to be safe in a very dark world. Fascism is a concept that has many definitions, but if we use Umber Echo's 14 properties, which I will put up right here, none of them really have anything in common with how PB runs the Candy Kingdom. What's more is that the main person who calls PB a fascist is Tree Trunks.
Princess Bubblegum, you have gone too far. We stand together against your tyranny.
And Tree Trunks is the worst. They are horrible, and I don't know why anyone would listen to them. And she literally allows an actual charlatan to take over the Candy Kingdom and ruins it. And when PB loses that election, she leaves. Like, if you're a fascist, you don't just lose elections and then leave. You stage a coup and take that shit over. Even if we want to critique the dark side of PB, I think the rattle ball situation has proven that she will often take the most intense path in order to create safety, which when you get further in the story, you realize it's because her experiences have made her think that that's the only way that she can do things. And I think all those things are an interesting indictment on, like, you know, magical gods and stuff like that, more than her being a fascist. I think it's more to do with, like, to be a creator in a world that inherently corrupts anything that you create. How do you make something good when you yourself are making everything out of trauma that you cannot really cope with because you have chosen to walk through a very lonely path? I personally think PB is really interesting, and I think excluding the arc where, like, Finn has a crush on her and the show doesn't know what to do with her, and if she wasn't pink and a good guy, I think more people would enjoy the fact that she's a morally gay female character. I think that she's just so peppy to look at. She's like a walking Pepto-Bismol can. And we always talk about wanting nuance and complex and morally gray female characters. And then we get one, and then we automatically go to making her a fascist, even though the story does go out of its way to explain that it's really a character-driven anxiety than a political totalitarian anxiety that makes her operate from this way. We want nuance, and then when nuance is right there, it's like, no, we're just gonna say no to it. And it's like, if we want consequences for her actions, then we need to kill Lumpy Space Princess because she's the fucking worst. Hate LSP. I don't know how anyone, it's like Ponyhead from Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Horrible characters. Don't know why anyone likes them. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know down below if you think that Princess Bubblegum is a fascist and why. I am interested to hear what you said. Again, I don't want to smoke. I just want to have a conversation with those when I do it. But yeah, I'm curious to see what people say. And also, is Fiona and Cake a good show? Because I've been thinking about watching it. So let me know down below.